Hi, is there any audio?
Yep, we'll be starting in just a couple minutes. So thank you for joining in and look forward to our discussion.
Yes, great. Sir, can I ask a question? My name is Carlos Gonzalez. I just
Sure.
wanted to know if there are copies of the meetings from Monday and Tuesday that are available?
Yes, so the kickoff meeting from Monday will be posted to the city's website.
Okay,
And,
thank you.
And the other meetings are available upon request. So if you contact the city project manager, Raquel, she'll be able to provide those to you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, good morning. It's 11 o'clock. This is our first open studio for today. So thank you all for joining in and listening in. I'm seeing some new names that I haven't seen before. So what I'm going to do is we'll give it just another minute or two for people to make their way in. And then I'm going to run through a few slides, giving a brief overview of the project, what we've been hearing so far, and how we've been taking everything that we've been hearing and turning it into elements of the CRA redevelopment plan. After that, we're just going to open it up to general conversation and discussion. That's really the purpose of the open studio session, is for you all to tell us your thoughts, concerns, things you'd like to see happen in the North Beach area, how the CRA redevelopment plan and the CRA itself can help North Beach achieve what the residents would like it to see happen. There's been a lot of planning efforts, and the CRA redevelopment plan and the CRA can be a tool to help implement a lot of those plans. So we'll just give it just one more minute and I'll run through the slides and we'll open it up. Thank you. All right, seems like we're not getting any more people joining quite at the moment, but welcome. If you have anyone else that you know, feel free to invite them to come in. All right, can everyone see my screen showing the image of aerial image of North Beach? Feel free to just unmute yourself and let me know. You can turn on your camera as well.
Yes.
Great, thank you, Catherine. Right. So let's get started. So my name is Robert Pietkowski. I'm with Dover Cohen Partners. We're a town planning and urban design firm based in South Miami, Coral Gables area. We worked on the Plan Novi project as well as several other planning efforts in Miami Beach over the years. With us, we're working with Daedalus, financial and economic development advisory firm, and RMA, which is a CRA and CRA plan advisory firm that's done a lot of work here in Southeast Florida with CRAs, Pompano Beach, Delray Beach are a few of their prominent examples. This is the schedule for the week. We're ready on Thursday. This is our first open design studio. We've had open design studios on Tuesday as well, and the kickoff meeting and hands-on presentation was Monday night. And tomorrow on the 4 p.m. we'll be presenting the work in progress presentation where we're pretty much summarizing everything that we've heard over the course of the week and how the plan is coming together, and using it as a checkpoint, really, just to see, are we on the right track? And then we go from there. So the goal of this week and of the charrette and the CRA plan is to craft a widely supported redevelopment plan for the CRA that inspires residents, investors, public officials with what is possible for Miami Beach's North Beach. This is the schedule for the entire project beyond this week. We began with kickoff meetings back in December. Now we're going through a research and engagement phase, which is somewhat unusual for these types of projects. Usually CRA projects don't do quite such intensive public outreach and don't really do charrettes, which are typically reserved for design projects and visioning projects. But this is just a way to make sure we get as much public feedback and as much information as we can right at the bat and right at the beginning of the process. Then we'll be going through more detailed economics analysis and taking everything that we've heard and synthesizing it all to come up with a recommended plan for adoption meetings, which will go through another series of official public meetings early this summer. This is the CRA district, the map shown on the screen now. It includes the town center area, portions of Normandy Isle, a little bit of historic districts, West Lots, and this is the one that we're going to be moving forward with now and has been adopted so far. CRAs are funded through TIFs, tax increment financing. How that works is essentially as property values increase over time, whether it's just through general inflation or changes in the neighborhood, the amount of taxes that they're paying will also go up based on, the tax rate may remain the same, but with increased value, the amount paid will go up. And so that difference, that increment of increased essentially revenue to the city and county with the CRA and the tax increment financing essentially gets cut out and given to the CRA. So instead of that money going to the county or to the city, it stays within this local area. So it's not a new tax or a raise in tax, it's just capturing that additional value that would otherwise be sent away to the county or other parts of the city and keeping it within North Beach for specific purposes that are outlined in the plan, which is why it's really important to make sure this plan reflects the vision for the community and has the type of projects that would residents would like to see happen and investors. And with those TIF revenues, it can support a variety of project types, from economic development projects to infrastructure projects, affordable housing, and climate adaptation and resiliency. So we've been having a lot of meetings over the last couple of days. So far, we've probably spoken to around 400 people in some way or form, whether through the kickoff we had back in December, or the open houses, or this week's kickoff and hands-on session, focus groups, one-on-one meetings, Open Design Studio participants, and additional feedback from the website. Quickly go through what we've heard. We've been doing a one-word card or a one-word exercise where we ask, what's one word that comes to mind about North Beach now? The more times a word is sent in or presented, the larger it appears. So potential and forgotten, dilapidated and disappointment. These are the words that people have put in the most, and so they come up the biggest. But you also see some words that could be good: neighborhood or charming, and local life and sunshine. So there's a mix of things about character that a lot of people like about the community, as well as also its room for some improvement. And we asked the same question about one word that comes to mind about the future. And here the words that come up most often are community and renovation and friendly. And there's also some other words that are very positive: arts and thriving and welcoming, as well as some words that could reflect some uneasiness: underwater or destroyed by greed or impossible. So there's a lot that could, a lot of potential and a lot of hope for the future, but also some worry and concern. And so these are things that the CRA plan has to address. All right, and we also asked this question, what can make North Beach even better? And so the things that came out on top from this question was improve the facades of existing and small businesses, adding new retail and entertainment, so you don't have to leave the neighborhood or leave the island to do everything you want to do, or to have a nice restaurant to go out to, or have the shopping and amenities that you need closer at hand. We've also see maintaining the neighborhood character come out high as well. Other options or other items that came up high on this question were affordable housing and workforce housing, making sure that those are maintained and increased. Creating walkable and bikeable places were also things that were important to those responding to this question, as well as adapting public infrastructure and buildings to sea level rise. We also asked if people in attendance at the meeting still like some ideas from Plan Nobi, which was adopted just a few years ago. Overwhelmingly, people were still supportive of the goal of building a town center. And when asked about what people were interested in and seeing CRA funds spent on, when we asked about resilience, nearly 90% were in favor of using CRA funding to fund resilience types of projects. So this was the top item that we heard on Monday night. And this is something very unique. Right now, there's 200, 220 CRAs in Florida, and spending money on resiliency is not something that is normal, but is something that could be a really important tool as South Florida has to address sea level rise concerns, and there's limited funding opportunities. So this is something that Miami Beach could take the lead in. We've also had a lot of comments from the hands-on session when we broke into the small groups. So some of what we heard were bring North Beach back to the prosperity it had before, or to protect the environment and ecosystem, to improve the town center, and to use some of the new revenues that come in from that to help fund other types of projects. So bike lanes, infrastructure, and general sidewalk improvements perhaps could be funded through some of the revenues that would come in. We also heard about protecting and enhancing residential assets from storms and sea level rise, as well as affordable housing is something important. And not just affordable housing, but we've also been hearing a lot about workforce housing to make sure that those that live here today can remain, if they choose to, in this neighborhood as other parts of it are enhanced and new businesses and residents come in. We've also heard about art and making sure that art is a key part of the community, and how the CRA can make improvements to bridges and fountains and bring in the arts. The CRA also could help landlords attract businesses to fill vacant storefronts. People commented that small victories can build trust, or to have a CRA that could provide more opportunities for restaurants and businesses, as well as providing different events throughout the course of the year. And this is just a quick overview of some of the other comments that we've heard, that some people are not against a CRA, but that they need better projects and better developers and more trust. We've also heard that some people were saying that they don't realize that the ideal can be the enemy of the good. And so for some developers, they may feel that if they're not going to be welcomed in North Beach, they may invest somewhere else. So there's a lot of different opinions depending on who we're talking to or who we're hearing from. So this morning we'd like to get your thoughts and add those to the list of what we're hearing. And we also toured the site. There's a lot of really great examples in North Beach and a lot of really wonderful MIMO architecture, great commercial buildings and residential buildings that are really unique and really add a lot of special character to the neighborhood. There's also a lot of vacancies. Some of this may be a result of the last year and dealing with COVID, but a lot of this is something that goes a little deeper. And so these are things that a CRA could possibly help with. And there's also a lot of possibilities for street improvements or adding resiliency or adding just a little more greenery to some of the neighborhoods to enhance the character that's already there. So these are just possibilities, and we really like to hear what you all think could be an appropriate and useful use of a CRA and the monies that it could have available for reinvesting in the neighborhood. And so my last slide before we just open it up to conversation is these are the 5 big ideas draft that we've kind of been synthesized over the course of the week. So the first one is to use the CRA and TIF to implement existing plans. This is not a new plan, although it's plan in the name, but it's really an implementation tool to implement the vision set up by Plan Nobi, the comprehensive plan, and other plans that have been developed over the last few years. Another big idea is to attract investment that is transformative, but still respectful of context, to spur business attention, attraction, and expansion and entrepreneurship, while still making sure that the RM1 districts that provide naturally occurring affordable housing remain, and that those that live in the neighborhood can still stay. We also heard that a CRA can build staff capacity to represent North Beach, to attract investment, connect tenants with empty spaces, and organize public-private partnerships. To focus on the short-term successes that can build confidence. The CRA shouldn't just focus on grand, big ideas for the future, but really even the smaller projects and smaller implementations and smaller, easier to, I guess, the lower hanging fruit, really. By focusing on them and creating short-term successes, it can help build confidence to help reach for the larger projects of creating a new town center or larger transformations of some of the major streets. And finally, the 5th big idea that we're working on right now is to increase resiliency. This could be lifting streets or parks or buildings, or building seawalls, or beach replenishment, or water storage underneath streets and public lands. So resiliency is a huge issue. Pretty much any project that goes forward in Miami Beach will have to have a resiliency component. But what exactly those are, or what exactly smaller resiliency grants or projects could be at a smaller building level is still something we're working on, and really would like to hear your comments and ideas. So these 5 big ideas are still in draft form, and we'd like to hear your thoughts on, do these make sense? How could these be refined moving forward? And how these can set up the framework for the CRA plan. And with that, I'd just like to open it up to general discussion and comments on what the CRA plan can do, what a TIF is, and how it can help fund the implementation of Plan Nobi and other affordable housing or infrastructure plans that may already be in place. So this is a somewhat more informal session. So I'm going to keep it a little open-ended right now, and just feel free to unmute yourself. You can also raise your hand if you'd like. If you open up the participants list and scroll down to the bottom of it, you'll be able to see a spot to raise your hand. and then I'll call on you, or you can just simply unmute yourself and start speaking. So we'll start off with Daniel, since I see he has his hand raised.
Hi, thank you, Rob. Great to be here. I'm Daniel Serraldo with the Miami Design Preservation League, and we're very involved with the North Beach Master Plan, and we know that included the CRA. And for us, resiliency of the historic buildings is very important, because that is where most of the naturally occurring affordable housing is in that area. And so we would love to see some real groundbreaking ideas on how to provide assistance to property owners of these buildings to make them resilient, whether it's from the most basic salt tolerant landscaping to things like HVAC upgrades, hurricane resistant windows, and all of the things outlined in Alan Schulman's Buoyant Cities plan that was recently adopted by the City Commission. I think the CRA can be an important tool in the toolbox of resiliency for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Daniel. And as Daniel started it off, when you do start speaking, if you can just introduce yourself briefly.
Oh, I have to do this. Hi, I'm
Hello.
Allison Williams. Okay, I was looking for the video so you could see me.
Yep.
I'm a resident of the Carillon, so I'm very interested in this area. I couldn't see the map very clearly. Do you include the Deauville in your area?
So you can, if you can see on the screen now, this is the current
Okay.
map of the Miami Beach North Beach CRA. I'm not.
The Deauville is in there. It's at the very bottom.
Yes, the Deauville is included.
Okay, because that's a big concern that I have. I don't know if you're able to do anything about that. I see that it's listed as permanently closed now. So I assume it's going through the courts and maybe it's for sale.
So
I know that there's some pending litigation with the city and some other considerations. So we do not have a timeline for if and when that property would be activated.
Wow, that's terrible, because that's, that's going to impact whatever you do on 72nd Street or, further north. So I see that as a major problem. While I was looking for information about it, I also read online that the crime rate of 43%, 43 per 1,000 residents in North Miami Beach is one of the highest in the country. So I don't know if that is anything that can be addressed by what you're doing.
Right.
Was that data for North Miami Beach or for City of Miami Beach?
It says North Miami Beach. I don't know if that's.
Okay,
So
that is another municipality. And so we're discussing
Oh, right.
North Beach neighborhood of
I'm
Miami.
sorry, I'm always confusing those two, so forget that. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of doing something, and I'm happy to see that changes are being planned, and especially the resiliency. I support that, putting some of the resources into that.
great. So in terms of the Deauville, what would you like to see happen there, or what do you think a CRA could help to do, or just in general, what would you like to see happen there? And
well, rather than adding another large building, I mean, it would be wonderful if it could be an open space for everyone to enjoy. I know there's another park north of us, and And there's the small playground area south. But
Mhm.
I don't know how many developers are interested in it. So,
All right, great. So thank you so much. That's a good point to make. You do note that the plan does purposely come and include that property.
good.
All right. Thank you. I see Alex has his hand raised, or Alex has their hand raised. So I will ask them to unmute and introduce themselves and share their comments and thoughts.
Yes, hi. My name is Alex Fluker, and I'm another resident in the neighborhood. And I just wanted to make a comment about the Deauville with regard to the open space comment. I do know that it is a historically significant property. It's designed by an architect who was well known at the time. It's the first place that the Beatles performed in the United States. So instead of worrying maybe from my point of view, what might become there, I would, and I have no clue how the CRA has any hand in this, but I would be more concerned with how we could preserve it and turn it into more of a gym in the neighborhood, bring it back to its former glory. It's just a comment that I would make regarding that specific property.
Great, thank you.
But like I said, I don't know if this CRA has any sway with a private property owner who, it's kind of, I don't have direct knowledge, but it seems like they're just willfully letting the property deteriorate so that they would have to tear it down because they have no interest in saving the property itself because they believe they could probably make more money by tearing it down.
So CRAs, have quite a bit
Which
of.
I think is a shame
sorry,
for
go
the
ahead.
neighborhood because, they're. No, that was kind of the end of the thought.
Okay, great, thank you. So CRAs do have, once they have some funding in their reserves, have abilities to offer grants for facade improvements or can help encourage certain types of businesses to come in. So there are financial types of incentives for CRAs. In some places, CRAs can purchase properties through the marketplace, and then they have more control over how that property is then redeveloped. So there are different tools available for a CRA to address the concerns that you mentioned. Whether it may take a little more time for funds to become available, but it is one of the useful features of having a CRA and having those resources.
Good to know. I did want to also bring up one separate topic that I was thinking about, and that's in the west lots, I believe you call them. Those are the vacant lots across Collins from the park. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I was just wondering, is there any way a CRA could do some sort of like work with the property owner of one of those, maybe the synergy is not there yet to build hard structures and fully redevelop them. That might be a few years away. Hopefully, everything happens quickly with all this area, but if there's some lag in the meantime, the CRA be able to do something with maybe a couple of those lots where they lease them from the owner and provide some sort of soft infrastructure for uses that may be thought of as more temporary. It's not what's going to be there for the next 2 decades, but maybe for 5 years while some of these things are getting more energy behind them, the CRA could provide from infrastructure for like shipping containers and have, like a more permanent version of food trucks where you have some entrepreneurs who may not have the ability to do a brick and mortar restaurant, but they have a great concept, and the CRA could lease them a very affordable space in like a shipping container and provide some tables and chairs for people to come and eat, or it could even be some retail activities with a similar kind of infrastructure where you have crafts people that are able to, at an affordable rate, rent a small space to have an opportunity to sell their crafts. I don't know if that's been done with any other CRAs or if all of it is really more about permanent infrastructure, but I just thought there might be a way for the CRA to do something that might be something more temporary, but to provide amenities to the community, also create a little bit more buzz in the neighborhood where people from other parts of the area may say, hey, let's go eat at that new cool thing they did over in North Beach.
Great. Thank you, Alex. The West Lots are city owned, and CRAs can do a lot of those items that you mentioned. They do have the ability to host different events and help to set up affordable or more affordable commercial spaces.
So I keep on trying to listen to the office one. It keeps on taking me back.
Hello?
Hello. Hold on one. Sorry, I think we had a little bit of feedback from someone that might have unmuted themselves by mistake. So the West Lots, there's a lot of contention and undetermined what will happen there in the future. And the CRA plan is not something to decide what will the future of the West Lots be. It is just an extra tool in the toolbox to enable whatever vision for the West Lots comes to be, and whatever consensus is developed in the future. The CRA can have a hand in helping that become a reality, although it itself will not be the deciding factor of what that reality is. Hello.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I'm not sure the process here because I can't find the part where you raise your hand.
Sure,
But
no
if I
worries.
could just jump in here, my name is Betsy Perez. Okay, yeah, my name is Betsy Perez, and I'm an almost 40-year resident of Miami Beach, half of that being in North Beach. I served on the steering committee developing the North Beach Master Plan and helped create the 5 big ideas for the master plan, one of them being, the town center on 71st Street. I'm so excited about the future of North Beach with the help of the CRA, because after working with the city and the community for over 6 years and hoping for improvements for over 30 years, I'm concerned about the confidence that the investors have in the area. And this, I think, is a great tool for them. We want to build confidence so that they do come and do invest, because none of this and none of these beautiful things can happen unless an investor comes in and puts their money where their mouth is. We live in such an amazing little paradise of a community. Where else can you live within walking distance of seeing amazing events such as those that take place at the Banjo with Star Acts? Last year we had Michael McDonald there, all the festivals that take place there. Then you can walk over and have a wonderful meal in the amazing international restaurants that exist on Collins and 71st Street. I'm hoping for more restaurant options in the future. Then you can walk to the future state-of-the-art library that will be built on 72nd area. During the day, you can enjoy the Carillon Spa. You can go play tennis in the fantastic tennis facility, then go to Painting with the Twist right there near the fountain to have a birthday event. Then in the evening, once the fountain's finished, you can go enjoy a salsa band at the Normandy Fountain, and then go to dinner at our favorite place, Prima Pasta. So once again, what I'm trying to say is we do live in paradise, and we need to make sure we bring the best of the best here. And I think the CRA can help that happen. When I look at other communities that have been improved by the CRA, I'm sure that those same things can help our community. And some of those things are, I believe, are beautification of storefronts for those places that are not getting developed. I think that the storefronts are so important, and street beautification that includes lighting that will help deter crime. Because, we have to keep the ball rolling, because otherwise the homeless can take over. We don't want criminals to feel comfortable here. We want them to feel uncomfortable. And I think that storefronts and street beautification, including the lighting, will help with that. I'm hoping that it can help owners on 71st and Collins to improve their storefronts, those that aren't being developed. I also mimic Daniel Seraldo's concern about resiliency. It's very much needed, and I worry about the historic buildings that can't afford to improve their seawalls. I've toured some of those buildings, and the seawalls are really falling in, and that's a big worry. I also hope that the CRA can help some investors come and develop, and let me say responsible development, because I know develop is a scary word here, and I don't know why, because that's what's going to help us all. I hope they can come and develop the West lots. I'd love to see a beautiful community develop there, along with, and I have to say, it's a little selfish of me, but pickleball courts. I'd love to see some pickleball courts on the West lots, because I know there's hundreds of pickleball players on Miami Beach, and right now we really don't have an outdoor court available to them. Anyway, those are just some of the things I hope, you know, that this helps and gives you an idea of anyone who's listening who's not sure about North Beach, and they can see all the beautiful things we have to offer here. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Betsy. Catherine?
Yeah, hi. I'm here with Catherine. My name is Fernando. I joined an earlier session on Tuesday, I believe. Catherine and I have a small design and architectural firm, and we're neighbors here at North Beach. And we had some ideas for the West lots, but in general also for that also the park section.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we were just talking right now about it will be interesting to integrate the West lots directly with the park, the park that goes from 79 to 87th Street. It'll be interesting to see those lots just completely integrated into the park. You know, by way of, you know, perhaps doing something with Collins Avenue at that portion. Maybe Collins Avenue, you know, goes underground or it goes above ground. In order to allow, you know, a seamless connection between the lots and the park. And another idea that we were, or it's an ongoing discussion that we have about the 79th Street Park is the fence that's around it. You know, where we're originally from, like parks don't have fences around it. So for us to see that park and see that fence right there, it's very shocking to us. It's
restrictive.
Yeah, it's very restrictive. And so, you know, like perhaps removing that fence, I understand that there might be some concerns in terms of safety during the night. So another of the idea that we were having was, we're not exactly sure which of the trees in that park are, you know, from the area, which are species who are not supposed to be in this specific area. But it will be worth it to perhaps take a look at the trees, see which ones can be removed, because the park does seem kind of dark even during the day, because a lot of canopy. So if there are trees that are not supposed to be there because they're not autochthonous from the area, it will be a good idea to, you know, remove them and replace for trees that are, you know, more like Miami natives. Removing the fence will be a great idea, and then, you know, just providing more light at that park.
For me, it's more of the idea of having like a bigger workout and like walking space. I grew up in New Jersey. Well, we both grew up in New Jersey, and we were lucky enough to have a really, really big park that had like several little parks within the area. There was a baseball field, there was a football field, a soccer field, running tracks. It seems like those are all things that are missing here in Miami Beach. And I'm not trying to compare or say that one is better than the other, because we love Miami, we love the beach, and we love the weather. That's one of the reasons why we moved down here. But for me, there's really no space kind of where I feel like I'm competing with traffic and the cars on Collins, and I'm trying to go for a run, or I'm trying to rollerblade, or I'm trying to bike or something. And I'm constantly looking over my shoulder to see if that nobody's going to run me over. So I feel like if that's, I don't know where, because there's limited space, but if we could somehow expand like paths and areas for people to exercise, jog, run, bike, rollerblade, play soccer, play baseball, all these sports that just, there's no park over here. I feel like there's no space for that, for the youth to go and kick a ball around and stuff. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, perhaps, you know, if there's nothing that could be done with Collins Avenue, because we understand that it's I think it's a county road or a state road. I know it's important. perhaps some sort of connecting bridges, for people to walk from the park over to whatever development is going to happen at the West Lots. That will be an interesting idea, because Collins, let's face it, it does have a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, but no one drives there at 30 miles an hour. It's, cars just pass by really, really fast. And there has been some lights that have been put in place, and it kind of helps. But at the same time, it will be interesting to connect the two in some manner.
I think more just remembering from when I was growing up in the park, I would just see a lot of cops too. So maybe increase police presence, to make joggers feel comfortable, women running at night, and to deter, like what Betsy was saying, deter, homelessness and criminals from the area, right? Just increase more police presence. I think that would be helpful as well.
And just one last thing for me, our boardwalk, or the area that's with pavers that goes along the beach, if that could somehow be extended to connect all the way up to 87th Street, where it joins the Surfside, I believe. It would be interesting to see if that could be incorporated somehow as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Yeah, so some of these items are included in other plans. And, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of this is for implementation now. So there's already been a lot of great ideas, and, just these are all great the conversations we're having this morning are really helpful for us to help prioritize which things from the other plans that the CRA can help move forward. And yes, Collins is a state road, but CRAs in Florida have had success working with the Florida Department of Transportation and making changes to their state roads to make them not just a place for cars, but a little more friendly towards those that are walking or biking along them. So those are all things that are in the realm of possibilities of what a CRA could do given time. So thank you. All right, Daniel, I see your hand is up.
Since I didn't see anyone else's hand up, I thought I'd give it another shot. Yeah, so as far as the Deauville, it is a historically protected site. So the hope is that eventually it will be brought back to life, whether with these owners that the city's been in litigation with for a couple of years, or with new owners that will finally be responsible. But I just want to mention a couple of thoughts. Storefronts, Betsy mentioned. The city does a really good job with a vacant storefront film that I've seen in South Beach, and maybe something creative could be made for North Beach with its own MIMO mid-century theme. And what's nice about North Beach too is there's a lot of beautiful buildings, but when they're vacant, it sort of leads to this feeling of deterioration. But if we had maybe local artists who could create something to put in the windows in the meantime, that might help with a sense of community. The other thing, back to the Beatles, is even though the Deauville right now is shut down, I think the CRA should think about the future marketing of North Beach. And I think things like live music, obviously the Beatles connection is huge, the 1960s. We also have the North Beach Bandshell, which is another mid-century iconic structure. So just like South Beach has sort of grown a lot with the feeling of 20s and 30s, North Beach could really, I think, take off with this focus on 50s and 60s and nostalgia, and become a real center for the mid-century and all the great music that happened during that time, not just the Beatles, but others. So whether it's concerts, annual festivals, things to bring people up there and to honor that time period which the neighborhood reflects. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. Sandra, if you'd like to unmute yourself and join in.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, so that was a nice segue for what I want to talk about. So I love everybody's vision for North Beach. Betsy painted a really nice picture. The person that spoke before her talked about kind of an open entertainment area. It sounded very similar to what Wynwood Yard used to offer, where people could come in, sit and eat, listen to music. I would love to see that somewhere. I'm wondering if the band shell could be used for that as well. I heard a comment by one of the commissioners saying some of the sites are underutilized, so that might be a nice use of that space. I like the idea of recreating the 60s. You have miles of these beautiful MIMO buildings. One of my interests is in the Byron Carlisle. So that is kind of the height of 60s luxury when it was open. It was really the idea of what people in the 60s thought was kind of the ultimate comfort. And I would love to see, I understand that it's really expensive to keep all the parts of Byron Carlisle, but I would like to see it recreated using CRA funds. I think that could be a real showcase and something that could be marketed countrywide to bring people to North Beach. I'm also, another concern is the Deauville Hotel. That's another beautiful historic icon that would really shine a light on North Beach.
Great, thank you so much. And yeah, these are all really great conversations. You know, the architecture and the architecture in North Beach is really reflective of that period of time, the post-war period, the 50s and 60s, really. And that's part of the reason why the historic districts were set up there, just because it's one of the largest concentrations. Right now, Miami, the city across the bay, they have their along US 1, they have their MIMO district, but in reality, it's a much smaller area and much fewer examples of the architecture and the history that's found in North Beach. And even with their limited, the limited stock they have there, the city of Miami and their, I don't know if it's a business improvement district or what exactly they have there, they've been able to market it and capitalize it and kind of build upon that. And so, perhaps that's something that North Beach could do as well. So thank you for sharing these ideas. Hi, Allison. And then,
Hi. I'd just like to say I also support that idea of, restoration of the Deauville. I think that's wonderful. It's just that we've been waiting for so long. It seems like we've been waiting for so long for anyone to show interest in that. So I didn't know what was, and in the meantime, the building is deteriorating so badly that I don't know if it's possible to restore much of it. But that's up to the architects to go in, I guess, and decide. And one more point about the parking in the area. I don't know if this has been addressed, because I heard at one point that one of the plans for development on 71st Street, I believe, did not include any parking. So it's more of a question than a comment. Do you have an answer for that? Do you know if there's a plan for parking?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
Is there a plan for parking in the development of the 71st Street area?
Yes, the 72nd Street complex will include parking.
Oh, okay.
So it's the largest project in the general obligation bond program. It's about $53 million, but it'll have like a pool, a community center, but parking will be included.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Right. We also see Catherine, the name again. So yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and join
Yeah,
back in.
we just wanted to follow up with just one additional idea, perhaps. In terms of the buildings that are being either remodeled on the exterior or they're just completely, ready to be brought down. And in order to maintain sort of the Miami Beach look, when there's construction about to happen, there's a protective fence that goes up around the building, and the fence oftentimes has also a protective fabric. And it's something that we saw in Russia when we went for the World Cup. The buildings that are being remodeled on the exterior, they have this like large format printouts in front of them of what the building is going to look like, or what the building used to look like, while the construction happens behind this protective fabric. So it will be interesting to see some of the buildings that are either just not being used, with some sort of a this large print format in front of them, so they don't look as bad, or as it just looks like no one pays any interest in them or anything like that. And it gives the neighborhood like a really bad look when you have these old buildings who are just sitting there. So it'll be nice to in the meantime, while something happens to them, to just have some sort of like image in front of them, or of what they used to look like, or where they could look like in the future.
Create like more interest and more attraction to the area, which is something that I think we're looking for. Also, I was wondering if it would be possible at all to include some sort of food hall on this side of the neighborhood. I go to the Citadel a lot lately. I'm actually hosting there on the weekends, and I just really love the whole vibe of the place. And it's in like the middle of Little River, which is, to me personally, like I don't really go there a lot. But because the Citadel is now there, it's been attracting, people like me and my friends to go out and grab some food. And they have like live music. They have like a little market where you can buy. So I don't know if it's possible at all to have something like that over here, while at the same time keeping, the traditional 60s look and Miami Beach vibe with the architecture.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great. Thank you.
Hi, this is Betsy again. I just wanted to let Catherine know that we had talked about doing the Wynwood Yard on the West Lots while we were waiting for an investor to come in and develop them. And we got a lot of community support about that. So I love your idea about the Citadel. That would be great.
Thank you. Please contact me. I have a lot of ideas. So just let me know how we can connect, and I'd love to participate. Well, we would love to participate more on that if it ever gets started.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and on that note, I was just going to mention that, there is going to be a lot of redevelopment in the area. And I think that is going to come a little bit of a shock to people that aren't as involved in the master planning and everything. So what the prior speaker said, I think as far as branding it, sometimes higher end places have that, like a new luxury project, but maybe the CRA could help kind of with the branding, because we know there will be a few years in town center of actual development, and we want to make sure that that area still reflects those characteristics that we all value in North Beach.
That's a great point, Daniel.
Thank you.
Marketing has always been an issue up here because, like one of the earlier callers said, sometimes people think that we're called North Miami Beach, but we're not. We're North Beach, in the city of Miami Beach.
Right.
Or Nobi, as a lot of people will call us. So maybe Nobi Strong, or Nobi, something that shows that we are, excuse the mess while we beautify our city. I like that.
Great. This is really, really great conversation. I'm learning quite a bit about, North Beach and the types of things the CRA could potentially help with. Yeah, so let's keep it going. We still have, about 10 more minutes until our time sessions are, time's up, but let's try to fill it all in.
Well, if no one else is going to talk, I'll throw in too. What about banners along the street identifying, on the light poles, that this is North Beach, this is a CRA? Start to get the community to participate more and understand what is going on. I think outreach is going to be really critical, both in English and Spanish, by the way, too. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, and noticing we have a few other people on the line that haven't heard from. If you'd like to jump in, again, just either if you scroll down to the bottom of if you click on the participants icon and scroll down to the bottom, you can raise your hand, or you could simply just unmute yourself and start speaking. We'd love to hear from you.
I have another idea I just thought of. Rob, can you
Sure.
hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
I recently, or this week, I saw a video about an artist called Xavier Cortada. Are you familiar with his work? I see Daniel's nodding.
Yeah, I'm not, but I'll look it up.
And he's been organizing some community meetings, I believe, and spreading the word about resiliency in an artistic way. And you could look into him and his work and maybe include that. What he does is he gets people to find out the sea level, the feet above sea level where their building is. And then they create, with his help, they create a little sign that they put outside the building. And that could be, posted on, I mean, in a suburban area, you would have it on your front yard, but it would have to hang on the buildings somehow. But they're really beautiful. And he's a very interesting speaker. I don't know if he's just worked in Miami, and I don't know if he's done any in Miami Beach. I'm sure you would easily find him if you Google him.
Can you repeat the name one more time for me? I know others are familiar, but.
Yeah, Xavier
Mhm.
Cortada.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
And that might include art in public places, funding, because I know the Lincoln Road CRA, RDA, there's a lot of money that goes towards commissioning new artwork in the area that's reflective of the community. So maybe North Beach deserves some public art too.
I second that. I think North Beach should definitely have more art up here.
I agree.
Great.
Just for those who don't know, Altos Del Mar Park on 76th Street and Collins Avenue, there was a plan many years ago to have it be a sculpture garden. And we couldn't really get it off the ground because it all took place around 2009 and the funding died. But it's still, I still have the plans, and it would look beautiful to have sculptures throughout the garden that exists now. So that's still, maybe that could be something the CRA could fund eventually. I know there's so many more important projects, but if eventually there was some money that was left over, that could be a whole sculpture garden walking through there's pathways going through the Altos Del Mar Park.
Yeah, these are all super helpful and really insightful questions and comments, and actually mostly just different ideas that will really help when we put together the plan. So while the plan may not necessarily address all the specific projects, it needs to include the broader categories. So art in public places, or street beautification, or street redesign for safer walking and biking, or investing in parks and green space and resiliency. Resiliency can go into a little more details about raising buildings or helping historic buildings address their needs so they can maintain their character, but still not suffer the negative effects of rising seas and increased flooding. So these are all the general types of categories that could be included in the plan. And then as the CRA gets established and the funds start to accumulate, then specific projects can be brought forward and implemented. So that's really what we're going to be working on and have been working on this week and over the next couple of months. So these are, really helpful for us to know which things to prioritize, which types of projects should make it in. And then, over time, some of these ideas, while possible for a CRA, maybe will take a little longer, or perhaps can, join in with other pools of funding, whether it's through the general obligation bonds or different types of grants. So it's, it's just one additional tool to be combined with all the others, and could be something really helpful for getting a lot of these great ideas we've been hearing up and running. I'm going to share my screen again. So as we're just wrapping up now with this morning's, again, there's another Open Design Studio, same format as this one. We just hope to have more conversations. Maybe we can get some other people joining in. So please share the word. That'll be at 5 p.m. tonight, also on the internet. And then tomorrow will be our big work in progress presentation at 4 p.m. Again, visit the website for the links. Please share with friends, neighbors, anyone else interested in North Beach. The more people involved, the earlier on, the better. If anyone have any last comments before we wrap this up? Well, thank you again. The kickoff presentation has been recorded and will be on the website. And this was a really, really terrific conversation. So thank you all so much for joining in, and look forward to speaking with you all again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.